we've found the Chinese government threatening established democratic norms and the rule of law. We also see a coordinated effort across the Chinese government to lie, cheat, and steal their way into unfairly dominating entire technology sectors. They try to silence anyone who fights back against their theft: companies, politicians, individuals. Let me begin by pointing out that 10 of the 13 charged individuals we're discussing today are Chinese intelligence officers and Chinese government officials. They're charged in 3 different cases that might seem at first glance to be about unrelated issues. However, and this is something that I've been talking about for years now, each of these cases lays bare the Chinese government's flagrant violation of international laws as they work to project their authoritarian view around the world, including within our own borders. In all 3 of these cases, and frankly in thousands of others, we've found the Chinese government threatening established democratic norms and the rule of law as they work to undermine U.S. economic security and fundamental human rights, including those of Americans. We also see a coordinated effort across the Chinese government to lie, cheat, and steal their way into unfairly dominating entire technology sectors, putting competing U.S. companies out of business. As I've pointed out before, their economic assault and their rights violations are part of the same problem. They both flout the rule of law. And one of the purposes of the Chinese government's repression is to make it easier to steal our innovation. They try to silence anyone who fights back against their theft: companies, politicians, individuals, just as they try to silence anyone who fights back against their other aggressions. And in our cases today, we've got yet another example: their attempted obstruction of an independent judicial process to give underhanded help to one of their companies accused of breaking our intellectual property laws and deny justice to that company's victims. The FBI has been reaching out and warning, and more importantly, helping the communities the Chinese government targets. Businesses of every size and in almost every sector, from agriculture to green tech to semiconductors, the Chinese American community, academia and state and local governments, and our foreign partners around the world. We're disrupting Chinese government criminality and aggression not just while adhering to our values, but by adhering to our values. Our democratic and legal processes arm us with weapons that China doesn't have, among others, real partners and allies. And our partnerships help protect the American people every day. One reason we've had so much success bringing partners to this fight against the Chinese government's aggression is that they see through Beijing's hypocrisy. For example, they see the type of CCP hypocrisy on display in our fox hunt case today, yet another case where the Chinese government officials and co-conspirators mercilessly harassed a naturalized U.S. citizen to try to force him to return to China against his will. They accused the victim in this case of embezzling money, but 2 of the subjects who targeted him, 2 of the defendants charged today, are themselves actually involved in a scheme to launder millions of dollars. And as if that weren't enough evidence that the real purpose of their operation was political, they gave their victim a deadline to return by, the 20th CCP Congress earlier this month. They're focused on repression, not law enforcement. But our partners also see the CCP's broader hypocrisy, the fact that while the CCP claims to stand for sovereignty and non-interference in other states' affairs, what the Chinese government actually does is interfere with sovereign governments around the world whenever doing so suits Beijing.